The Denver Nuggets are about to square off with the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow night in what I think is the single biggest game of the entire calendar year. Whoa. And the question is, do the Timberwolves actually own the Denver Nuggets? I got D-Line here to talk. Oh my God, what are you wearing?
I want to be smart for the people.
Oh, this is smart, D-Line. I like it over here.
Yeah, indubitably.
You look like the emoji that has the glasses right now.
I think that's more common on my face than the glasses.
It was a little bit of both.
My yellow round face.
So to get into this, man, the Denver Nuggets have not beaten the Minnesota Timberwolves since Game 5 of the playoffs last year.
We all know this.
Which was, by the way, one of Jokic's greatest playoff games. Went to waste. They win that game, kind of in dominant fashion. He had 40 points, 13 assists. But they have not won since. Like, let's just go off the top here. They have bullied Denver. But is that more a reflection of Denver, or do you think this is a matchup that, hey, they're in their head?
Well, I think that if you wanted to, you could explain away every one of the losses.
I want to.
Okay, so in the playoffs, they were very tired. They said that. They were tired. It's not fair. It's not even fair for them to play when they're so tired. So they got cheated, number one.
Yeah.
And then, if I remember correctly, somebody's been missing every time. They didn't have Aaron Gordon.
But both ways, though. Both ways. They've been missing some guys, too.
Yeah, but ours are more important.
Okay.
So, but the larger point is, do they just indeed have Denver's number, and we are going to live in this world where they just are our daddies?
Right.
I don't think they're our daddies. I don't think we have daddies.
Okay.
Again, I explained this before. I think we come from a broken home.
Okay.
I think we're daddyless as the Denver Nuggets, but things haven't been working out for us when it comes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Listen, man, we got to see it. I just feel like the Denver Nuggets have enough ways to get around what the Timberwolves want to do to them if it's all working in place. But they have to meet the physicality that Minnesota comes to them with. And, you know, whether or not they don't feel like they want to early in the year, or, I mean, I just can't believe, I cannot buy that this is an unbreakable attack against the Denver Nuggets.
I mean, I think that we have to say that they do own the Nuggets by virtue of the fact that they have beaten them, including in a Game 7 on Denver's home court. When you lose on your home court, that matters. But I think, too, you have to say it because the way it's happened. I mean, Minnesota, let's just set the table. They have Tim Conley, who split from Denver in somewhat ugly fashion. Like, you know, side doors and all these different things. Then they have Chris Finch, who's an ex-Nugget, who I think enjoys getting one over on Denver. Micah Nori, same thing. So I think that there is some DNA there, because when you look at the way they approach that game, they approach it with confidence, but they also approach it with a chip on their shoulder. They want to humiliate Denver, and they've succeeded in that desire several times over the last 2 years. Gamblers always say, one thing you do in gambling is bet on who has the more motivation. In this one, to this point, I think Minnesota has clearly had more motivation, including even in Game 7. Like, they just played hungrier than Denver did in that game.
We gotta lose the next round.
That's not to take anything away from them. I think want to is something that Denver maybe has lacked a little bit, and they don't lack it at all, specifically in this matchup.
Yeah, I think now we're to the point where Denver wants this. It's gotten to the point where it's like, all right, this has become ridiculous. Like,
when do you think that happened? The last game? Because they lost in a blowout fashion the last one.
That's old stuff. We're talking about. We keep talking about old stuff on this.
Because I agree with you, but I'm just
saying. Okay, so I'm putting an unrealistically high expectation on this next game. The Nuggets need to show us that all of this could be written off in one way or another. And it's not just that the Minnesota Timberwolves are their kryptonite.
Yeah.
I think that there's enough motivation for the Denver Nuggets, and there's enough health finally. In general, like, we are hitting the point of the season that the Nuggets are absolutely needing to start on their final kick.
Yeah.
Like, they need to get the sprint going. They need to show everybody, and they need to remind M again, meaning, I guess, them, Minnesota. Us, Minnesota, the league at large, that they're not only a contender, but like should be one of the absolute top contenders.
Right. I think when you talk about the kryptonite, there are some things structurally that work in their favor. Number one, they have Rudy Gobert, who Jokic has seen a million times, but he's at least a long body. We know Jokic can handle him. He's had some of his greatest games of his whole career against Rudy Gobert. But Gobert also knows my job is not to shut him down. It's just to make his life hard. And they have a second big who presents a problem there because you can use exercise in your front court. But beyond that, because I think that's a small note, I think a bigger note is they have length and strength at Jamal Murray and athleticism, which is something that bothers him. Anthony Edwards in particular really likes that matchup.
Oh, yes.
Like really likes it. And Jamal Murray has not yet risen to the occasion consistently. Tomorrow night's a huge test for that. But they also have length against Michael Porter Jr. in physicality. So what they do, in addition to having this motivation factor, they hate the Nuggets. They love beating them. They take it personal. They also have guys to, so far, cancel out Jamal and Michael Porter and limit Jokic in a way where he might not be able to save you 4 times out of 7 because they have Gobert who can at least make him 90% of himself.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can look at the brother. I have 45. Like Jokic can take care of Gobert,
no problem.
But you're right. He does have to work for it, maybe a little bit harder than he does against some other centers. But listen, man, Aaron Gordon is shooting the ball. If Dev were here, he would say he's shooting the piss out of the ball.
He does like that one, and he is. That's correct.
And he literally is shooting the piss out of the ball. I think the Nuggets should have enough counterpunches to be able to roll with this. Like they should be able to overcome this. It shouldn't be something that where you can simply just apply physical pressure to the Denver Nuggets. It completely breaks them down. They should have enough other ways to go about it. We're just going to see. I mean, it's crazy to me how much this regular season matchup is meaning to me right now. Like, I mean, this really is like how much of my emotional bet am I going to place on the Denver Nuggets? How much of my heart?
It comes down to this one game.
Yes. How much of my heart am I going to put onto the scale? And the Denver Nuggets have to show me that, I already at all points have like a good portion, but if I'm going to put the last chunk of my heart onto the scale, it's going to be because I see the fire in them and I see the resolve in them and I see the ability to rise up and overcome, which is what the playoffs are all about. And it starts in the regular season with these GD Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah. To me, I think this game is really important, supremely important. And I'm with you. It's not about my heart. It's really, I just try to be honest about how I feel about this team. And sometimes people don't like it if that honesty is low. I don't know if I'm high or low on them. But I think I will tomorrow around midnight. I think I will know if I'm high or low on them because they have to beat them.
Yep.
This game is in Denver. They might be shorthanded with, the kerfuffle that happened with them last night against Detroit. So they might be shorthanded in a small but meaningful way. But more importantly, I'll concede this. I give them credit for bullying Denver because I think that they have earned that credit. But I agree with you that I think Denver has not matched the intensity. If you don't match the intensity tomorrow night, when you're on a 5-game losing streak to them, if you don't match that intensity, there's something wrong with you. So Denver, tomorrow night, I think they have to get a win, and they have to not get bullied by them. They have to do the bullying because that'll set the stage. And I'll tell you this, the Nuggets have owned the Lakers for the last 3 years, just owned them.
Oh, yes.
The Lakers knew that, and they put all of their weight, everything into one game because they understood that one game sends a message. Denver has to send a message tomorrow night, in my opinion.
I hope Michael Malone has not slept in days thinking about how to scheme against this, how to break this these Jokic rules that really has started with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Jamal rules and the Michael Porter Jr. rule. Oh man, I'm so nervous.
I'll tell you this, man. If they get the win tomorrow night, especially if it's in statement fashion, I'll be fully in. I'll say this team is ready for the playoffs. They belong at the 2-3 seed, wherever they're going to fall. It won't matter to me. I'll say they belong right there. But if they lose this one, I'm going to have a hard time buying in. Tomorrow's game carries a lot of stakes. Let us know in the comments what you think. Are the Wolves the Nuggets' daddy? Or is tomorrow night their opportunity to flip the script and say, you know what? No longer. We got you. Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Beat up their dad.